While conducting a routine patrol at sea, a Sri Lankan Navy team stumbled upon something so bizarre that it left them utterly stunned. As they were sailing along the coastline, they suddenly spotted an unusual floating creature in the water. At first, they assumed it might be a dead fish or perhaps a large shark, but little did they know that a harrowing situation awaited them in the middle of the ocean. As responsible naval officers, they were duty-bound to investigate any strange occurrences at sea. After all, it could potentially pose a significant threat. When the crew members drew closer to examine this mysterious object, they could scarcely believe their eyes at what they saw. That day, they bore witness to an unimaginable sight: a helpless elephant battling against the tides and currents. Upon seeing the elephant's pitiful plight, the crew members cried out in alarm. They simply could not fathom how such a massive land animal had ended up in the middle of the ocean. The elephant was struggling desperately against the tides and waves, straining to keep its trunk raised above the surface so it could gasp for air. Although swimming is a natural ability for elephants, they are, in fact, excellent swimmers capable of covering distances of up to 6 miles. Being swept 10 miles out to sea by strong currents was an overwhelming ordeal, even for an elephant. The crew realized that time was of the essence if they were to save the exhausted animal. They had to act swiftly to mount a rescue operation. However, the elephant's immense weight and size presented a formidable challenge to the rescue effort. They resolved that no matter the obstacles they might face, they would do everything in their power to save this helpless creature. Without a moment's delay, they contacted the nearby Sri Lanka Animal Welfare Center. They hoped that the experts at the center would be able to offer invaluable advice on how to save the elephant. Meanwhile, as time ticked by, the weary animal began to emit distressful cries, sounds that underscored to the crew just how urgent a speedy rescue had become. Very shortly thereafter, a team of experts from the Animal Welfare Center arrived on the scene. Since they lacked the necessary equipment at the time to hoist such a massive elephant onto a ship, they devised a brilliant plan. Their strategy involved securing the elephant with ropes and towing it toward the shore. Their primary objective was to save the elephant's life without causing it undue distress. Acting under the guidance of experts, a team of divers descended into the water, carrying ropes with them. Their task was to approach the elephant with extreme caution so that it could be gently guided into the shallows. They were confident that once the elephant was brought into the shallow water, it would be able to swim ashore on its own, as elephants are capable swimmers. The crew had to work with great urgency, for the animal's strength was rapidly waning from its struggle against the sea. Taking their ropes with them, the divers disembarked from the main vessel and boarded a small boat. They then slowly advanced toward the elephant. Upon reaching it, they positioned themselves strategically around the animal. The elephant was, in truth, extremely weak. It showed absolutely no signs of agitation or distress at their presence. The divers then proceeded to safely secure the elephant with ropes. Some divers submerged beneath the surface to check for any entanglements or obstructions around the elephant's legs. One diver even climbed onto the elephant's back to ensure the ropes were tied firmly. Meanwhile, every moment of the divers' courageous operation was being documented on camera. Once the ropes were securely fastened around the elephant, the divers breathed a collective sigh of relief. They had successfully completed the first phase of the rescue operation without causing the powerful animal any further distress. However, the second phase of the rescue would prove to be even more challenging. In the next step, the divers took hold of the other end of the ropes and returned to the main vessel. Once back on board, they securely fastened the ropes to the ship, ensuring that as the vessel moved forward, the elephant would be towed safely towards its destination. Animal protection experts reminded the rescuers to proceed with the utmost caution while towing the animal. They issued a stern warning that if the elephant were towed too rapidly, it would not have sufficient time to surface and breathe. So they continued to tow the elephant slowly. Gradually, navigating through large swells, the elephant moved from the deep waters towards the shallows. This was not merely a rescue operation, but a desperate struggle for survival. However, something terrifying suddenly occurred. The elephant's massive body abruptly vanished beneath the water. The sailors were seized with panic. They could not fathom what calamity had befallen the animal. Without a single warning sign, the elephant had vanished. Yet, there was no trace of blood in the water. Thus, the possibility of an attack by predators, such as sharks or orcas, was ruled out. Some crew members speculated that the elephant might have somehow become detached from the tow line. A short while later, they realized that while swimming, the rope had become entangled around the elephant's legs, causing it to sink. Without wasting another moment, they took swift action, immediately implementing a backup plan. Divers boarded a rescue boat and rushed to the exact spot where the elephant had disappeared. This time, they brought along a life preserver. Upon seeing the elephant entangled in the ropes, they breathed a collective sigh of relief. Submerging themselves in the water, the divers observed that the elephant was not lying very far beneath the surface. It was unable to swim because its leg was caught in the ropes. Wasting no further time, they attached the life preserver to the elephant's leg so that it could receive adequate support and stay afloat. Through the combined efforts of the elephant's struggle to swim, the support of the life preserver, and the assistance of the divers, they were able to bring the elephant up to the surface. As they watched the elephant rise to the surface, a wave of joyous jubilation swept through the naval officers and sailors aboard the main vessel. However, they still had a journey of many miles ahead of them. The divers quickly untied the ropes from the elephant's leg. They decided to swim alongside the elephant, guiding it all the way toward the shore. In this manner, nearly 2 hours passed, yet the rescue operation proceeded at a very slow pace. Despite their arduous efforts, they managed to cover only 3 miles of the 10-mile journey, but they were not the sort to give up easily. As they moved steadily toward the shore, the minutes stretched into hours. When they were 2 miles from land and 1.5 miles from the shallows, they decided to take a brief break. Realizing that only a few miles of the journey remained, they began to jump for joy. Although elephants are capable of swimming for several hours without rest, this particular elephant was utterly exhausted. Consequently, they deemed it crucial to allow the weary animal some time to rest and hope that a brief respite would enable the elephant to regain its strength and proceed towards its destination with greater ease. Subsequently, the divers detached the life preserver from the elephant's leg, as they had now drawn very close to the shore. After allowing the elephant to rest for a while, they resumed towing it forward. The coastline was now clearly within sight. They were no longer far away. After enduring a grueling and arduous struggle, they are on the verge of savoring the sweet taste of victory, bringing the stranded elephant back to safety. In this final leg of the journey, the elephant too swims with unwavering determination, summoning every ounce of its strength and courage. Animal protection experts warned that the elephant might not be able to walk properly upon reaching land, as it was severely weakened. Consequently, they arranged for a medical team to be on standby to provide immediate care for the animal. The rescue mission to save the Asian elephant continued for nearly 12 hours. Finally, they reached the shallow waters near the coast, a spot where the elephant could once again feel solid ground beneath its feet. However, utterly exhausted, the elephant merely floated rather than attempting to swim further. The signs of fatigue etched across its face and eyes were painfully evident, a truly heartbreaking sight. This was no ordinary rescue mission, it was a battle for survival. Yet, upon nearing the shore, the elephant, confused and weary, began to swim in circles. The rescuers shouted loudly to encourage the elephant and guide it toward the land. Responding to their calls, the elephant surged forward with every remaining ounce of its strength and courage. At one point, seeing the helpless, stranded elephant finally coming to safety, the sailors' eyes welled up with tears of joy. The elephant had now ceased swimming. Instead, it walked feebly toward the shore. Meanwhile, a multitude of people stood waiting on the beach to welcome it. Finally, as the elephant stepped onto the shore, the rescue team and all the onlookers erupted in applause, celebrating the success of the mission. The moment the elephant set foot on land, the veterinary team immediately began examining the exhausted animal. Fortunately, the elephant had sustained no serious injuries, though it remained severely weakened. To help it regain its strength, they provided the elephant with a substantial amount of nutritious food. After resting for several hours, the elephant made a full recovery. It then let out a triumphant trumpet as if offering its heartfelt thanks to its rescuers.